Does Portland, Oregon get snow? That is the question today that we're going to answer. It's kind of imperative for you to understand all about the snow that happens here in Portland because it has a lot of ramifications on people who live here when it does happen. And we're going to get after it right now. If you're new to our channel, myself and Stuart and my team member Erica Hagfirst, we put out content every single week about living in Portland, Portland life. So if you're looking for that information, hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell so you can get updated on the videos when they come out. And if you are looking to make a move to Portland or you want to talk through things that you need to understand about Portland, please don't hesitate to reach out. All of our contact information is in the description below because we want to help you make a smooth move to Portland. So today's kind of a special day to do this video because it actually snowed the last several days. In fact, today, while it's really bright and sunny out right now, around 2 o'clock this afternoon, we're due for an ice storm. So a lot of Portland has been under a snowstorm. We've been staying at home the last several days. I'm actually standing in front of my fireplace as we speak. I'm trying to warm up because I'm going to take you outside here in just a minute. But I want to talk a little bit about snow in Portland so you kind of understand, maybe before you move here, what to expect. Now, we do not have snow like the East Coast has snow. I have family members who live in Boston and they have snow. In fact, they just recently moved to Florida to get away from it because I think they've been there most of their lives and it was just enough. But we do get snow, usually sometimes peppered in a few days. Sometimes it comes and goes within 24 hours. Sometimes we get a solid week's worth, but it's not like weeks and months worth of snow. It usually comes and goes pretty fast. However, while it's here doing its thing, it can cause a lot of chaos. Let's talk about why that is, because I'm going to show you how much snow is on the ground outside, and it's not very much. When you see it, you're going to be like, what in the heck? Well, first of all, we are not prepared in Portland for snow, like ever. We don't have enough equipment. We have very few snow equipment, snow plows in the city, and they always plow the freeways and the highways and the main roads first. And that can take a lot of time. And usually by the time they're done doing that, the snow is melted. So a lot of people are like, what's the deal, Portland? You don't usually get that much snow when it does come down. And I will tell you that when we got the winter warning over a week ago that there was going to be a few snow days happening, literally everybody runs to the grocery stores. So that's number one. We go to the grocery stores. We literally buy everything we can. I actually went to the grocery store and it was sheer chaos. I mean, things were just being cleared off the shelves. The lines were insane, but you might get stuck. And so it's better to be prepared. So that's the first thing, is everybody hits up all the stores. The second thing is that we have a lot of hills in Portland. And when you have a lot of hills, that means there's a lot of opportunity for sliding down hills and not being able to drive very well on hills. And if you actually Google snow days in like the West Coast, especially like Seattle had some good ones about a year ago, we don't know how to drive on this stuff. And so because the snow plows don't get to a lot of the side roads and main roads fast enough, people are forced to drive on it. And it's just, again, it's sheer chaos driving on these roads. So it's best to stay home. I personally live on a monster hill. Even my driveway has a bit of slope to it, and it's just better to hunker down and wait it out. Luckily for Portland, it melts kind of fast. When we get the snow, usually about 24 to 48 hours later, we get above freezing and it all melts really, really fast. So it doesn't really stick around for a long period of time. And thank God it doesn't, because we would not know what to do with ourselves here. But mostly here in Portland, it'll come down a few inches and then it tends to start to melt and then refreeze overnight. And that's when it causes the ice skating rink effect. So we have, like for instance, right now, if you go outside, a lot of the top coat over the snow is sheer ice. And that is super dangerous. So I even walked out to my backyard a little while ago and it was just ice rink. So you have to be really careful going outside. And again, there's not a lot of resources for snow removal in Portland. It's not like there's services running around town because we just don't have it that often. So you are your own snow service. So if you want your walkways and your driveways to be clear, it will be up to you to do the shoveling. And then a lot of these side roads and streets and neighborhoods, it can take an extra few days after things start to melt to actually really be clear. And so we oftentimes find that school districts will hold off on opening school until they feel pretty confident that the bus routes are safe or that people can get out of their houses pretty safely. So it's not always about, are the main roads clear, but can they get in and out of neighborhoods? So a lot of times you'll be in a neighborhood and it looks terrible, and then you get down to the main roads and it doesn't really look that bad. And yet, it can still cause havoc because a lot of us aren't leaving our houses because we're super hilly and, trying to get down steep terrain while the roads are still pretty slick can be dangerous. So a lot of times schools will not open until they know that the main roads going in and out are safe. Okay, as promised, I told you I would take you outside and show you around a little bit. So let's start here. I'm standing on my front porch. I'm at a little bit of an elevation here, but as you can see, the roads are completely covered. And it's not that much snow, but it's got a pretty thin layer of ice, because what happens is it warms up just enough to sort of start softening or melting, and then it refreezes overnight, and then it just becomes kind of like an ice skating rink out there. Like I mentioned earlier, we're actually due for freezing rain today. I know it looks like it's not that ominous right now, and the sun is actually out. But earlier or later today, they say around 2 o'clock, it's supposed to be freezing rain. And so everyone has prepared to completely stay inside, because that's just a disaster waiting to happen if anybody goes out. Not too many people have driving skills for that, or cars that will operate. But tomorrow on Wednesday, it's supposed to climb up to 40 degrees or higher, and it's all gonna melt. So it's gonna be like really dicey for probably less than 24 hours, and then it's gonna start to really melt, and probably melt pretty fast. So hopefully we'll be back on the roads tomorrow. Maybe not till later in the day or midday at best, but school is canceled. They actually canceled school yesterday in light of this. Sometimes it's a big nothing burger. Sometimes they predict, snow and ice and all these things, and nothing really exciting happens, and it's nothing worth staying home about. But we just never know in Portland. The weather is very unpredictable at times based on how, our geography and topography is. So sometimes it can be a lot worse than they say. Sometimes it can be a whole lot better. Doesn't always feel like they totally get it right here. But needless to say, when we get the warning that there is going to be some kind of snow or ice, we always take extra precautions here. So people just don't leave their houses, or we try to push things out, just because, as you can see, if you don't have the proper vehicle or equipment, or you're just not a good driver in this stuff, it's just best to stay home. Okay, so I am venturing outside. I'm risking my life. Oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. That is super slippery. Like literally, I'm wearing tennis shoes and my foot is sliding around. Okay, I'm going to turn around and do this video without risking a fall. But you can see there's snow. There's a healthy layer of ice on this. It doesn't look too daunting when you actually look at it outside the windows, but that is let me see if I can show you. I'm gonna turn the camera around. Like if I step out here, my foot just slides like crazy on that. So I'm not gonna take any risks on that. But let me just kind of give you an overview here. This is my backyard. Again, not too crazy with the snow, but it's what's lurking on top of the snow that really matters here. It froze over last night. It's probably about 11 o'clock in the morning. So what once was snow is now sheer ice. Okay, so I took you outside and showed you front and back side of my house and kind of gave you an overview. But one other thing I want to talk about that's super important in regards to the snow and the ice that is critical to understand. And this is probably another big reason why it becomes a bigger deal here in the Portland area for when it does get icy, especially. We have had hundreds and hundreds of trees fall in and around Portland. We did have some wind that picked up on the day that it snowed, and a lot of big trees and small trees and tree branches all come down when the winter weather hits with any kind of wind. A few years ago, we actually had an ice storm, and what really caused chaos around Portland was the ice built up on all of the tree branches very thickly, and they just started breaking all over. I'm actually shocked our property didn't have more damage, because we live next to a green space with lots of trees. We have trees in our backyard, but all over Portland, as you drove around, it was just carnage. And some cities have more trees than others. For example, Lake Oswego. In fact, just this weekend during the storm, they had over 100 trees fall down, and they went into a state of emergency. They asked for all arborists to be all hands on deck, trying to get roads cleared and trees off of houses. We actually had a family member that a tree fell on the house. They're still dealing with it right now, and it's hard because it's hard to get out there on the roads and help everybody and have enough resources. In addition to, we lost power in a lot of places. In fact, right now, as I'm doing this video, there's over 100,000 people in the Portland metro area who have lost power. And what happens is when you lose power and it's below freezing, is pipes start to burst. So I was on the Nextdoor app this morning, and it was just dozens and dozens of people who are sitting without power for more than 48 hours, and their pipes are starting to burst. They can't keep the pipes warm enough to keep them from doing that. So even though a little bit of snow and ice has hit us, it has become sheer havoc in the Portland metro area with this. And today is our last day. We're supposedly going through it, but we're due for another ice storm. And if that happens, it's going to mean more trees, possibly more power outages. That's why we keep our gas fireplaces on. In case that happens, we can start with a little bit of heat. But by tomorrow, we're supposed to climb above freezing, and hopefully it'll all start melting off quickly, and hopefully more resources can get to the right people. But that's what you should know about Portland. And our little bit of ice and snow that we get is that we are just not really equipped for it when it happens, and it does a lot of damage in the short amount of time that it typically shows up. So hopefully you guys got some good information about why it's important to know about the snow ice that happens in Portland. We don't get a lot of it, but when we do, it really does affect us quite a bit. So if you're thinking about making a move to the Portland area and you have other questions, or you are just coming across our channel, hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you can get our latest videos on all things Portland life.